If you want to become a better Hearthstone player and learn how to hit Legend in Hearthstone, you've came to the right place. Hi, I'm Kris05 and I'm a Hearthstone coach, streamer and YouTuber, and I've helped hundreds of people reach Legend through Hearthstone coaching both in Standard and Wild, and probably thousands of people through my videos and streams, so I know a thing or two about it. In this video, I will tell you 10 exact tips which will help you reach newer higher ranks in the game.
You are not prepared!
Before we get into the tips, I'd like to thank today's video's sponsor, HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. And it makes home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. Going to the grocery shop is boring, and prepping meals can be a pain. But with HelloFresh, you can easily cook fast and fresh recipes that take less than 15 minutes. I know I'd use this if we had it in Bulgaria, but if you are in the US and you haven't tried them before, you can use my code to get 65% off from your first purchase, plus free shipping. If that deal is not sweet enough for you already, I will also throw in a 1 hour of Hearthstone coaching with me for free, for the first 10 people that use my code. Now let's dive into the tips. Get the right mentality. Reaching Legend is not impossible. Consistent correct choices and mentality will get you there eventually. Hearthstone's a 1v1 game and you can't really expect to win every single one of them, since in order for you to win, somebody actually has to lose. And if we can trust the matchmaking system, you're supposed to be facing a worthy opponent, aka player with a similar skill level as yours. So naturally, your win rate shouldn't really go too far from 50 to 60%. That being said, you shouldn't really be expecting to win every single game, but what's important here is when you're actually losing, you want to pay attention if you actually lost because you made a misplay, or you took the wrong game plan, or you simply just got unlucky and the opponent high-rolled you. In some cases, games will simply just be unwinnable and nothing you actually did would change the outcome of that game as long as the opponent played the way they did. You just gotta keep a cool head and remain calm. And as long as you feel like you're playing to the best of your abilities, you can just click the play button with confidence and keep on grinding. I know a lot of players are experiencing ladder anxiety, and back in the day I did too. But as long as you realize your mistakes and strive to fix them, you will eventually hit that legendary rank if you keep on pushing forward. Learn the meta. Know the meta or do your best to learn it on the go. The site hsreplay.net helps a ton here. What you could be doing here is open the site up, and when each game starts, open the most popular deck your opponent's class could be. After 1 or 2 cards, you should be able to have a good idea of what the opponent is actually playing, and that way you will get to see what most of his deck actually looks like. You can even go as far as actually look what a good mulligan for that deck would be, and if your opponent actually kept all of their cards in their starting hand, you will have a better idea of what to expect in the first few turns. You can also learn the meta through my top 5 meta reports, which I give you guys each week, and I literally go over every single working archetype, so you guys have a better idea of what to play with, as well as what you're playing against. So as long as you're not facing some super niche homebrew deck, you will know what to expect from your opponents, at least to some extent. By the way, if you enjoy what I'm doing and find the video helpful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the algorithm a lot. And this way, you will be up to date to the latest Hearthstone meta reports, as well as good deck guides. Always play with a deck tracker. If you truly want to be climbing ranks, you should be tryharding, and always play with a deck tracker. I know there are people out there that are gonna say that they can play without a deck tracker, and yeah, that's true, we all can. It's just not gonna be as good. You will probably completely ignore hand tracking what your opponent is holding. You will not be paying attention how much of certain cards your opponent can still be holding as well. And heck, you're even gonna have to waste mental power to actually remember what's left in your deck. Not using a deck tracker is definitely gonna hinder your chances of climbing as much as you could be, and you will be wasting way too much mental capacity on tracking what's left in your own deck instead of actually trying to develop game plans, looking for potential future swing turns, and so on and so forth. The damage counter can also be of a huge help, and it can help you quickly spot potential lethal outs with the glance of an eye, instead of actually having to add up to 7 minions plus your weapon in order to see how much you could be connecting for face. You can check out my detailed guide about HS Deck Tracker, so you can start using it to its absolute full potential, and stop missing out on some of its amazing hidden features. Mulligan phase. In the mulligan phase, plan out how you expect the matchup to go. Ask yourself if you're going first or second. What do you expect from the opponent to be doing on the first few turns? What do you think you should be doing in the first few turns? Do you actually need the high roll for this matchup to work, or is an okay mulligan also gonna do the trick? Answering all of these questions correctly will definitely improve your win rate, and it will set you up for success. Keeping suboptimal cards in your mulligan phase is a great way to shoot yourself in the foot. The better you are at predicting what's gonna be happening in the first few turns, the better you will be at actually mulliganing too. Make sure to differentiate between going first and second, because the things you need to be doing in those cases are drastically different. When you are going first, you generally want to be the aggressor and develop on the board. But when you're going second, you actually need to be answering the opponent's questions, since you will be going second on the board and you will need to be a bit more reactive. A great way for you to be informed on what mulligans you should be going for would be to use HS Replay's premium feature, but you can also use that information from my top 5 videos, where I show you detailed mulligan guides. So again, don't forget to check those out. Turn planning and turn sequencing. Before you start throwing cards on the board, you need to figure out your entire turn. I know it's cool playing fast and loose, but this way you're costing yourself advantages left and right. When sequencing your turn, you need to know if you actually will have enough mana to do things like card draw or card discovery, and if that's the case, make sure to do those things first, so you can actually get that extra bit of information before you commit fully to your turn. Because in some cases, you could actually draw into a much better play, or you can discover it, and if you've already locked your mana crystals in, you will not be able to transition to that play instead. Sequencing your entire turn in your head before you actually start throwing cards will give you that extra edge and potential for some huge leads sometime. You also need to figure out when you want some random factors to trigger. For example, should you be trading into that 2/2 skeleton that has a death rattle deal 2 damage? Because in some cases that could actually snipe off another minion that could have potentially attacked before that. As long as you know you will be getting extra information that turn, you usually should start off with that and then reevaluate if the rest of your turn is still looking the same or you have actually discovered a better option. Don't lock yourself into one play, but keep an open mind and try to make the best play possible. Planning for future turns. When deciding what the best play is for this turn, that is not always the play that actually develops you the most. You also need to be planning your turns ahead. Making a good play this turn is good, but if that leaves you with no play for the future turn, it might be better to just play an okay turn this turn that leaves you with a good or even great play for the future turn. Top decks can also save your potential future turn, but in some cases it's just not worth the risk. Also plan out on saving some potentially good synergistic cards for future turns, so you can have a great play later on like that. This is tricky though, because in some cases you actually need to be tempoing out those synergistic cards, because in some cases you just don't need to be maximizing on all of those synergies every game. Things like saving a 1-drop to test out for things like Akani or random secrets, holding on to a board clear so the opponent actually overextends on it so you can punish them harder, tempoing out things like turn 3 brand so the opponent loses their mind trying to actually answer it. These are just some of the things you need to be thinking about when deciding what you're playing each turn. Talk out your plays. If you really want to get the most out of your games, you might actually want to start talking out your potential plays and actually discuss them with yourself. You basically want to become a streamer and start actually explaining yourself why you're thinking about doing the things you're doing, instead of other potential plays, and you want to be acknowledging all of the possible ups and downs to each of those plays. You also might want to start taking 5 extra seconds before you start actually committing to a play, and that actually gives you a chance to acknowledge if you are missing out on a potentially even greater play that wasn't so obvious. Yeah, 9 out of 10 times you will be still going with the play you already thought of, but you will definitely be kicking yourself if you actually miss out on a potentially great play because you were playing too fast. You can also use your opponent's turn to think about potential things you might want to be doing in the future turns, but make sure to reevaluate what you have been thinking about after you actually see the opponent's play. And don't forget to check out what you actually top decked so you can fully understand what you will be doing. Do not overextend. If you're already on the board against an opponent that is expected to have good board clears against you, try not to be playing too much more minions on it. Because if your opponent can actually clear a board with 5 minions, he can probably kill a board with 7 minions too. But it would be benefiting you a lot more to actually save those, so you can potentially refill the board once the opponent clears it, because him having 2 good board clears in a row is a lot less likely. Even if they do get the second board clear, you actually did what you could to play around it. I know it feels great to flood the board with all of your dudes because you're so good at the game, but that is a great way to get punished and run out of steam quickly. What you want to be doing is building awkward boards for the opponent to clear, and eventually they should run out of ways to deal with them. If you instead just build one big board and they clear it with a single removal, that's on you. Learn from your games. Make sure to acknowledge mistakes so you don't repeat them again. Try to acknowledge what made you lose or win that game so you better understand what you should and shouldn't be doing for the future games. In some cases you lost because you misplayed or didn't follow the correct game plan, in other games you just got outplayed, but there will also be games where you literally could not have done a single thing differently and you would still lose it just because the game said so. After enough reflected games, this should help you figure out good game plans against common matchups and how you should be approaching them. This will help you learn what cards will be core for this matchup. You will know if you should try to win the game early or you can take it the long run. You will also know if you should be pressuring the opponent or you can be passive and just answer your opponent's threats. And you will also learn how you should be winning that game, with board pressure, with attrition, or with a certain combo, and so on. Get better through coaching. And last but not least, you can skyrocket your progress with some Hearthstone coaching. I upload coaching sessions I do live on my Twitch stream over to YouTube, and if you guys pay attention to those, you are getting the value of a paid Hearthstone coaching session for free, and I'm happy to provide that for you. If you pay attention to all of the things we actually talk about into those coaching sessions and pay attention to the games, you too will know what you should be thinking in each particular matchup and in each particular phase of the game. And you will be able to ask yourself the right questions on the right time. Like I said, I'm giving this to you for free. What I am selling is the personalization. So if you guys would also like to be on the hot seat with me and do live coaching like that on or off stream, you can check out the link in the description and hire me through the site Metafy. Like I said, we can do it live on stream or off stream, but you can be sure I will do my best to make you a better Hearthstone player. If you watch the video to the end, you're already a legend in my eyes, and you're definitely setting yourself up for success. Don't forget to check out HelloFresh in the description and get a huge discount plus free shipping. Good luck on ladder, and thanks for watching. I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.